In my previous life, I exhausted my fortune trying to win the heart of Chloe, the woman I thought was the love of my life. The end came while I was lying in a hospital bed, the aftermath of a horrific car crash, filled with the bitter regret that I could no longer provide her with the future I had promised. It was then that she appeared, not with tears of concern, but holding the hand of her true love. With a serene smile on her face, she reached over and disconnected my ventilator. "Don't you have another life?" she asked. It turned out she had never loved me at all. She had only been using me, draining my finances while secretly plotting with her lover to scam even more money from my life insurance policy. They laughed about how I had been a complete fool, losing everything for a love that never existed. In this new life, the scene was strangely familiar. Chloe hurled a bank card at my face, her voice filled with manufactured contempt. "Who wants your filthy money?" I found myself laughing as I bent down and retrieved the card from the floor. "All right then," I said, a calm I didn't know I possessed settling over me. "Hold on to that pride of yours. Just don't come crawling back to me later." She didn't beg, but it wouldn't be long before her true love was the one on his knees before me. The car crash that ended my first life hadn't been a random accident. I was told my wife, Chloe, had been kidnapped. To pay the ransom, I had withdrawn $20,000 in cash, stuffing it into a briefcase on the passenger seat. I pressed the accelerator, speeding down the highway, my only thought on reaching her, only to be T-boned by a massive truck that sent my car flipping through the air. The world became a chaotic mess of fire, smoke, and the sharp sting of shattering glass digging into my skin. It felt like I was being fried alive. Yet I fought through the searing pain, desperately trying to crawl from the wreckage. Just before darkness consumed me, a single, agonizing thought dominated my mind. Without me, what would happen to Chloe? Would the kidnappers harm her? My fears were tragically misplaced. When I awoke, Chloe was standing by my hospital bed, dressed in a flowing white gown. Seeing her safe and unharmed, I was about to let out a sigh of relief when I felt a cold touch on my lips. It was Chloe's finger, pressing gently against them. The expression on her face made my heart ache. My voice trembled as I spoke through a wave of tears. "I'm sorry. I can't give you what I promised anymore. I had promised her the world, a life of riches and comfort. I had promised we would grow old together, surrounded by our children and grandchildren. In the end, I had failed her completely. Chloe's smile was a beautiful, cruel thing, an icy glint in her eyes that sent a shiver of fear through me. "So, don't you have another life?" she whispered. And with those words, she unplugged my ventilator. My body jerked awake as the flow of air was cut off. I thrashed on the bed like a fish pulled from the water, suffocating and helpless. It was only then that I noticed the man standing behind her, grinning broadly. It was Dylan, her supposed true love. He watched my pitiful struggle with a smug, assured look. "See, what did I tell you?" he said to her. "A dying camel is still worth more than a horse. Squeeze him a little, and he'll still cough up that $20,000. So, there had been no kidnapping. It was all just a scheme to get my money. "Why?" I gasped, reaching out, my fingers fumbling to grasp her collar, needing an explanation. "I was so good to you. Why?" Chloe gently pried my fingers from her dress, her smile never faltering. "You're so dumb, Alex," she said softly. "You're just a useless heir born into wealth, with the brains of a pig and not an ounce of talent. If it weren't for your family's money, do you really think any woman would ever look at you?" The sharp, insistent beeping of the machines beside me grew louder as I struggled to reach for the emergency call button. Chloe caught my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. I was horrified, but turning my head was a pointless effort. "Darling," she cooed, her cheek pressing against my palm. Her touch was as cold as a snake's venom, sending a deep shiver through my body. Your parents spent a fortune building this private ward at home for you. I've already sent everyone away. She smiled through what looked like tears, an affectionate gaze that was completely betrayed by her venomous words. Alex, I have never loved you. Every single day I spent by your side disgusted me. If Dylan didn't need money, if I didn't need money, I would never have lowered myself to be with you. I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't even cry out for justice. Breathing became a monumental struggle, each gasp a desperate wheezing sound, like air being forced through broken bellows. Dylan laughed. Chloe laughed too. I could do neither. After a final, torturous struggle, I slowly closed my eyes, their triumphant laughter echoing as my world faded to black. When my consciousness returned, I was a spirit, floating weightlessly above my own lifeless body. On the bed below, Dylan and Chloe were wrapped around each other. I closed my ethereal eyes, but their voices still pierced the silence. Later, Chloe snuggled contentedly in Dylan's arms. "Who knew the insurance would pay out so much?" Dylan said, stroking her bare shoulder. "I guess poverty really does limit the imagination." Chloe's voice was filled with disdain. "Alex was just my lapdog, completely head over heels for me. He was so scared I'd be left with nothing if something happened to him. Of course, he set the insurance policy to the maximum payout. Such a sucker, ending up with nothing in the end. That useless rich boy did nothing good in his entire life. Dying for me was probably his only real accomplishment." Anger burned in my chest, a helpless rage fueled by resentment and regret. I wanted to tear them apart, but as a spirit I could do nothing. Outside the massive window, the sky erupted in a brilliant display of fireworks. The splendid colors reminded me of the night I had proposed to Chloe. The fireworks had lit up her face that night, revealing a joy she couldn't seem to hide. I never once questioned that her happiness was a performance. I just smiled, foolishly believing that after all my effort, I had finally won the love of a lifetime. I never knew that moment was just the grand opening to the tragic finale of my life. The fireworks that once symbolized my love now served as the backdrop for their celebration. I closed my eyes, clenching my fists as the explosions continued to boom, celebrating the last day of the year and the final curtain call on my insignificant life. I thought that was the end, but then a flash of brilliant white light consumed me. I opened my eyes again, finding myself standing in a bustling university hallway. Everyone's eyes were on me, their faces a mixture of curiosity and amusement. Where was I? Then, a sharp, hot sting erupted on my cheek. I looked down to see a platinum bank card lying at my feet. "Alex, who needs your filthy money?" a voice cried out. "Take your filthy money and get lost." I knew that voice. I would recognize it anywhere. I looked up sharply, and perhaps it was the fierce, harsh light in my eyes that startled Chloe, because she instinctively took 2 steps back. Was this a dream? I pinched my arm hard, and the resulting pain confirmed it wasn't. Looking around, I recognized the academic building and the familiar faces of my college classmates. Could it be? Had I been reborn? The crowd was enjoying the spectacle as Chloe continued to cry. The scene was intimately familiar, and old memories slowly began to resurface. I remembered this day. This was when I first started pursuing Chloe, right at the beginning of college. With her flowing white dress, long black hair, and eyes that always seemed to hold a hint of misty sadness, she caused quite a sensation on campus, awakening the protective instincts of many male students, myself included. I began pursuing her openly and aggressively. My strategy as reckless as any trust fund kid's, Just throw money at the problem. Chloe's reaction was always fascinating. She never outright rejected my expensive gifts, but I almost had to force them on her. Sometimes she would even humiliate me in public before eventually accepting, but only after I begged. This time was no different. I knew her family was struggling financially. Her father was a gambling addict, and her mother worked a small stall to make ends meet. Even paying her school fees was a constant issue. So, just like in my past life, I had stopped her in the hallway and offered her a bank card loaded with $200,000, enough to solve her family's immediate problems. And just like before, she had thrown it back in my face, crying hysterically. "You think you're so great with your filthy money, humiliating me like this? Alex, you're not even human!" The whispers around us quickly turned into open ridicule. Rich kids think money solves everything? He's trying to buy Chloe's love, as if money can get him whatever he wants. Ignoring his father's hard-earned cash to chase girls, pathetic. I bent down to pick up the card, and as I did, I noticed a quick, fleeting flash of joy in Chloe's eyes before she masked it with more tears. What did I do last time? Oh, that's right. I didn't just get up. I knelt on the floor and pushed the card back into her hands, pleading with her. "Chloe, I know you don't care about money. I just want to help ease your struggles. Please take it. I'm begging you." Loving someone so much had made me degrade myself, reducing my worth to nothing. Remembering my foolish past, I wanted nothing more than to find a way to dissect my own pig-headed brain. But now, facing her tear-streaked face, I slowly stood up and pocketed the card. "Fine," I said calmly. "I respect your decision." Chloe was visibly shocked. I wasn't following the script she had so carefully prepared. She seemed to panic for a moment, but with so many people watching, she couldn't react properly. She just glared at me, her eyes seemingly trying to send me some kind of message. What was she hinting at? I didn't understand, nor did I care. I just smiled. "I respect your choice. Let's not make a scene. And trust me, I won't be offering to help you again." Ignoring her frozen, pale face, I turned and walked away. "Don't come begging me later," I called over my shoulder as I left. I drove off in my Maybach, the $200,000 still in my account. Now I could add a little more cash and buy a place near campus. Back then, to be closer to Chloe, I had insisted on living in the dorms instead of commuting from my family's home. I had spent my days getting meals for her and fetching water after her classes. Now I no longer had any reason to please her. I kept my distance. I quickly moved out of the dorm and into a new 3-bedroom house with a garden, inviting my wealthy friends over to see it. They were puzzled. "This place is smaller than your bathroom at home," one of them remarked. "Why not just stay with your parents? It feels so cramped here." I just smiled. I bought this house because I knew this area was set to skyrocket in value within 5 years due to upcoming policy changes. Plus, I knew that in 5 years, my father's company would desperately need a cash injection. In my past life, I had been foolish with my money, spending it all on Chloe, which was one of the contributing factors to my family's eventual bankruptcy. Now, my top priority was to grow my assets and save money. Real estate was just the beginning. It was also a convenient way to avoid Chloe. "Wait," one of my friends said. "Weren't you completely obsessed with what's-her-name? Are you already tired of her?" They stopped themselves, looking uneasy. Before, a comment like that would have set me off. I would have started shouting, breaking things, maybe even starting a fight. "Who says I'm tired of Chloe? Don't you dare talk about her like that." But now, I was calm, even amused by my previous stupidity. I realized Chloe had never really hated video games. Her crush, Dylan, was always at the internet cafe, and she never seemed to mind that. She just didn't want me getting too close to my friends. She preferred my life to revolve solely around her. My childhood friend Leo had been right all along. Chloe wanted to isolate me and control every aspect of my life. This time, I was determined not to repeat my past mistakes. Leo dragged me to the game room. "Let's go, let's play some games." In my past life, Chloe's disdain for gaming had kept me away from it, and I had slowly drifted apart from all my friends. I had lost their support when my family needed it most. I understood now that networking with the wealthy required time and effort. It wasn't the life of idle leisure people imagined. I was building connections that would ensure my future stability. A late night of gaming left me blurry the next morning. The doorbell rang, and I shuffled past my friends sleeping on the floor and couches to answer it. "Who is it?" I mumbled, opening the door to find Chloe standing there, completely drenched by the rain. Her eyes were red from crying, and seeing her like that felt like a familiar punch to the gut. "Alex," she began, and for a fleeting moment I almost felt a pang of my old tenderness for her. Then, a wave of revulsion washed it away. Before, her tears were enough to make me offer her anything, even my own heart. Now, I was just glad I didn't feel the urge to rip hers out to see what it was made of. "What are you doing here?" I asked, lighting a cigarette and sitting down on the couch. Chloe followed me inside, looking shaky and unsteady, as if she might collapse at any moment. In the past, I would have rushed over to help her, but now I just held my cigarette and watched her with detached indifference, curious to see what her new angle was. Seeing that I was ignoring her, she simply stood there beside the couch, not saying a word, just looking at me with tears welling up in her eyes. I was starting to get annoyed. "If you have something to say, just say it. I need to get some sleep." Chloe's gaze fell to the ashtray on the table, which was filled with cigarette butts. Her eyes reddened again as she sniffled. "I knew things were tough for you, too. You couldn't sleep all night just thinking about me, right?" Oh, she had completely misunderstood. She thought I had smoked all night because of her. Those cigarette butts were from my friends, who had been raving about some rare, high-end brand and had smoked the entire pack. The one in my hand was the first I'd had all night. I took a long drag and didn't bother to correct her. "What's up?" I asked flatly. Chloe looked hesitant. In our entire relationship, she had never been the one to lower her head first. This was clearly difficult for her. Finally, she spoke, her voice uncertain. "Alex, I heard you moved out of the dorm. Is it because you don't want to see me anymore?" "Yeah," I said simply. "Seeing you bothers me." Chloe had a script ready, but my blunt answer threw her completely off. She just stood there, unsure of what to say next. Her timid, sad expression was starting to make me angry. It seemed like without me even doing anything, I was somehow the bad guy in this scenario. "Is it because of what I said yesterday?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You know I'm just a little proud. You suddenly handed that card to me in front of everyone. Of course I'd be scared." I chuckled. Proud. Her self-righteous pride. In my past life, to protect her fragile sense of pride, I had stopped wearing brand-name clothes, expensive watches, and driving luxury cars. I gave her all my money and lived like a pauper myself. I was always so careful with my words around her, terrified of accidentally stepping on one of her pride-related landmines. Who cared about that now? With a casual flick of my cigarette, I said, "Pride, huh? Chloe, if you really have so much pride, do me a favor and return all the limited edition designer dresses, the Audi I bought you, and everything else I ever gave you. Thanks." Seeing that I wasn't going to comfort her and was instead asking for the gifts back, Chloe froze. It took a long moment for her to process what I had said. Then she screamed, "Alex, what kind of man are you asking for things back from a girl? Aren't you ashamed?" I just stated the truth, but it was enough for her to show her true colors. Why does being a man matter? I'm a man, not your personal ATM. And didn't you say you didn't care about my money? If you're so full of gusto, then give it all back." I knew she couldn't. The money I had given Chloe had either gone to her family to pay off debts or to support her lover. Before the car crash in my last life, we were already discussing divorce because I had discovered she was financially supporting Dylan with my money, turning him into a well-dressed gentleman. Over the years, I had nearly emptied my savings for her, a fact that made my father so sick with stress that he was hospitalized multiple times. Yet, when I heard about Chloe's supposed kidnapping, I still gave everything I had left to save her. I had died a miserable death because of it. This time around, I would rather flush my money down a toilet than give them a single dime. "You think I care about your dirty money? Fine, take it back!" Chloe suddenly burst out, tearing off the jewelry I had bought her and throwing it at my head. This time, I was ready and dodged the expensive pieces. When it came to the Cartier necklace, however, she suddenly slowed down, fumbling with the clasp before giving up. She started crying again, covering her face with her hands. "Alex, what does this make of the past month? Were you just playing around?" I said with a laugh, feeling a sense of liberation. "It's been fun, you know what I mean. I never took any of it seriously." Chloe started screaming, her carefully constructed composure completely gone. "I don't believe you. Didn't you ever care about me, even a little?" Hearing her words, I felt a wave of sadness wash over me, and for a moment I didn't know how to answer. I did care once, but that feeling had faded with each constant disappointment. Any remaining affection vanished the second she pulled the plug on my life support. Now, there was only regret. Regret that I didn't see her true colors sooner. Chloe kept crying, a pitiful sight to behold. I watched her coldly, no longer coddling her like I used to. Without my appeasement, her one-woman show began to falter. She wiped her tears, her expression hardening with determination. "Fine, Alex. Remember what you said today. Don't regret it and come crawling back to me." "Oh," I said, as Chloe stormed towards the door, her face flushed with anger. "Wait a minute." She turned, a smug look on her face, clearly thinking I was about to cave. She truly believed I couldn't live without her. I continued. "The bag you're holding, I bought that too. And your necklace, your shoes, your clothes. Well, you can keep the clothes." It wasn't out of any affection for her. I just didn't want to be reminded of her fawning over Dylan in the past while wearing things I had paid for. "Alex, you stingy jerk. You'll get what's coming to you." The shoes, necklace, and bag came flying at me, and with a final slam of the door, Chloe retreated in defeat, probably afraid I would demand even more back. My friends, who had been hiding in the next room and watching the entire drama unfold, came out. "Nice one. You stood your ground for once. That must have felt good." I can't stand people like her. Good riddance. Man, with someone like you could have plenty of women way better than Chloe. "Nope," I said, shaking my head. "I'm done. No more worldly desires for me. After all that business with Chloe, I can't even look at women anymore. The ugly ones are intolerable and the pretty ones might just be like her, trying to exploit me. I'll just focus on making money. Money won't cheat on you, pull your plug, or hurt you." I patted Leo on the shoulder and asked how much money he had. He looked at me cautiously and asked what I was planning. "I know of a nice piece of land," I said. "I'm going to turn this place into a gold mine with some creative ventures in the future. Once I get it set up, I'm going to make it big." Leo touched my forehead, a look of genuine concern on his face. "Did you get kicked in the head by a mule?" It was shocking, I knew. A guy like me, who used to spend money without a care in the world, now wanted to start a business. I was busy pushing Leo to invest with me, while also trying not to skip classes like I used to. I didn't want to be that spoiled rich kid anymore. Back at school, I could feel the weird stares and hear the gossip behind my back. The story they were telling was that since I couldn't win over Chloe, I had gone back and demanded all my gifts back, even her shoes. "The richer you are, the stingier you get," they said. I was branded as the ultimate lowlife, and this seemed to become the campus consensus. One day, a girl I didn't know, full of self-righteousness, came up to me and pointed her finger in my face. "Alex, have some shame. Chloe made it clear she wasn't interested, and you're still harassing her. You gave her those things yourself. Breaking up means breaking up. Don't be so petty. If you can't afford it, don't pretend you're rich." With everyone riled up around me, I felt like I was being judged for a crime I didn't commit. Chloe stood behind the crowd, her face pale, looking like she was on the verge of tears. She had that miserable look on her face, as if this had nothing to do with her. But if you looked closer, you'd realize that when the shoe incident happened, it was just my friends and Chloe present. My friends aren't gossips, so who did that leave? It was obvious Chloe had started this rumor on purpose. She had always been good at playing the vulnerable victim and getting others to do her dirty work for her. I could already picture her brushing off questions about me with a look like she was about to cry, saying things like, "I don't want to badmouth Alex." But after a few more questions, she would spill only the parts that made her look good. Disgusting. When I didn't respond to the accusations, the people around me got even more furious, acting like they were about to run me out of the school. I didn't care. I quietly took out my phone and posted some pictures in the class group chat. On another note, Chloe wasn't exactly loyal to just me. She had hooked up with Dylan multiple times, using my money for her little toys. She had cheated first. She was even dumb enough to use my credit card to buy condoms and have them shipped to a hotel, which just so happened to be owned by Leo's family. Upon hearing this, Chloe's face turned a ghostly white. She snatched a guy's phone and shrieked, "Alex, take it down!" In the group chat were photos of her and Dylan at the hotel. "Why would I take it down? Are you afraid to own up to it?" I smirked, knowing Chloe's tendencies inside and out from our past life together. She always made sure that if she was unhappy, everyone else would be even worse off. She would rather destroy something than let anyone else have it. I knew she would try to trash my reputation, so I had asked Leo to save the hotel's security footage early on. She had also missed a key point. A woman's reputation is often seen as more valuable than a man's. Me, Alex? I didn't care about that nonsense. Everyone already knew me as a spoiled rich kid, Chloe's little puppy who was always at her beck and call. Adding cheap jerk to that list? It didn't bother me at all. After I posted the pictures, the group chat exploded. Everyone turned their judgmental eyes on Chloe. She was a complete mess, struggling to get her words out. Alex is framing me. The pictures are fake." The more she spoke, the more she lost her innocent act. "Is this fun for you, Alex? Just because I dumped you, you have to slander me like this? Can't you act like a man with some decency? Meeting you was the worst luck of my life." Expecting this, I quickly sent out another post. Photos can be faked, but videos? The viewers were then treated to a video of Chloe with Dylan, complete with all the incriminating sounds. Chloe completely lost it, whacking at people's phones in a frenzy, screaming, "Don't look! Delete it!" Watching her breakdown, I felt a sense of satisfaction. I remembered that in my past life, this particular hotel had been busted for having hidden cameras that someone had installed in the rooms to sell the videos online. I had told Leo to check if any were still around, and sure enough, they had caught everything. I wasn't planning on being this ruthless, but if you attack a dog, you should expect it to bite back. Even a pushover eventually grows fangs. After this, Chloe fell from her pedestal. She used to be seen as an untouchable, pure angel. Now, she was pegged as just another run-of-the-mill wild girl. Rumors are a powerful thing, especially for someone with Chloe's massive ego. She wouldn't take this easily. But deep down, she's a toxic person. Without me as her source of income, she'll probably just hunt for her next target. By exposing her, I had just cut off her cash flow. I guess I did a good deed. After that, Chloe stayed quiet for a long time. Whenever she saw me on campus, she would just avoid me. That was fine by me. I was walking on my path, and she was on her tightrope. We didn't need to bother each other. One day I was at a business dinner, dealing with some associates, when my dad called me. His voice was super serious, and he rarely gets that angry, so I knew I shouldn't delay. I drove straight home. As soon as I walked in the door, he slapped me hard across the face. Stars danced in my eyes. "You ungrateful child. How did our family end up with a waste like you? You got a girl pregnant and now you want to ditch her? Are you trying to kill me?" "Got who pregnant?" I stood my ground and looked over to the sofa. Chloe was sitting there, her eyes red, her belly slightly rounded. Her gambling addict father lunged at me, ready to tear my face off. Thank goodness our servants were there to hold him back, or I would have been done for. He wouldn't let up, his body taut like a bow, spitting as he ranted. "My daughter is as pure as snow. You used her and now you want to run? Rich people think they're so high and mighty, huh? You think you can just leave without taking responsibility?" Holding my burning cheek, I looked at Chloe. "You're saying you're carrying my kid?" Chloe just sobbed, unable to speak. To any outsider, it would have looked like I had truly wronged her. My dad sat on the sofa, his face in his hands, his eyes full of disappointment in me. His hand was shaking from the force of the slap. A chill struck deep in my heart. In my past life, our family's cash flow had suddenly dried up. Ignoring my dad's strong disagreement, I had stolen family money to pay off Chloe's father's massive gambling debts. The stress had given my dad a heart attack, and he didn't make it. When I got to the hospital, all I saw was his body covered by a white sheet. Without him, our family business quickly went downhill. The shareholders took most of our assets, leaving my mom and me with almost nothing. Every time I think about it, the regret pierces my heart like a knife. I fell to my knees, crawling to my dad's feet. "Dad, please, calm down. If I did something wrong, you can teach me. I promise I'll change. Just don't make yourself sick over this." Seeing my sincere attitude, my dad seemed to calm down a bit, his anger no longer as intense as before. I breathed a sigh of relief. He wiped his face and sighed deeply, hesitant to speak. Did you really take advantage of that girl?" My mouth opened and closed, but before I could answer, Chloe fell to her knees beside me. "Uncle, don't blame Alex. It's me. It's all my fault," she cried, her tears falling like rain. Geez, had I never noticed she could act this well before? She had more dramatic skills than a soap opera star. "Chloe, stop your nonsense. You and Dylan were involved too. Who knows who that kid belongs to?" No sooner had I said that than my dad slapped me again. My ears rang, and I was stunned. He pointed at me, his eyebrows furrowed in anger. "You have the nerve to say that? I used to think you were just naughty, but now you're using these dirty tricks." "What dirty tricks?" My mom looked at me with an indescribable expression, her eyes filled with deep worry. "Before you came, Chloe showed us everything. You wouldn't leave her alone, and then you just tossed her aside. Why would you forge those pictures and videos to ruin her reputation?" Chloe cried even harder. "Auntie, please stop. I might as well just die." Then she made a show of trying to run into a wall. My mom quickly stopped her, comforting her. "Don't worry, dear. Auntie will make it right for you." "Oh," I laughed bitterly. She was twisting the story around. "It wasn't doctored. She was cheating all along. Check our records. She used my account to buy condoms. Or just ask Leo, the video was caught in his family's hotel." I thought my dad, a seasoned businessman, would at least try to check the facts. But he just got even angrier, his voice rising. "Leo, that good-for-nothing who just plays games all day? A player who switches girls every week? Associating with people like that has taught you all these dirty tricks. I didn't do it. Still denying it? I should beat some sense into you. My dad raised his hand to hit me again, but Chloe chose that exact moment to shield me, taking the hit herself. Her gambling father whipped out his phone and started videoing the whole thing. Abusing a pregnant woman. Rich folks think they can do anything. In the chaos, my mom helped Chloe up, gently touching her belly. My mom looked at me and sighed, her expression resigned. I knew you would cause trouble someday, but Chloe's baby is your child, Alex. Your father and I have always taught you to be responsible. Now is your time to step up. I was speechless, my vision clouded with rage. Step up? How? My dad gave me a hard slap on the back. What else? Marry her. Take responsibility for her and the child. I didn't resist. Seeing my dad's pale complexion, I didn't want to stress him out anymore. After all the chaos, the elders went to the study to discuss the wedding arrangements. The servants gave us some space, leaving just me and Chloe alone in the living room. Chloe wiped the tears from her face and gave me a slow, wicked smile. She looked like a completely different person from the fragile and helpless girl she had been just moments ago. A chill crawled slowly up my spine as I stared blankly at her. Why do my parents trust you so much? I asked. Chloe pressed a button on a small recorder, and our previous conversation played back. Alex, what have we been for the past month? For me, it was just fun and games. Get it? I didn't mean anything. I don't believe you. Haven't you ever felt anything real for me? I was shocked. She had recorded our conversation at my house, planning this whole scene from way back then. No wonder my parents wouldn't even listen to my side of the story. Chloe casually put the recorder away, looking incredibly pleased with herself. I glared at her, seething with anger. What do you really want? Marriage, obviously. Isn't it clear? You're kidding. You don't even love me. Why are you so set on marrying me? I felt a pang in my chest, not out of any lingering feeling, but just because of the sheer irony of the situation. I would have died to be with her once, and now it was my worst nightmare. Chloe elegantly blew on her nails and looked up at me with a smile. A chill ran down my spine again. I had seen that exact smile before, right when she unplugged my life support in my previous life. Alex, you said you loved me, she purred. You need to keep your promises. Her hand softly traced my cheek, as if she were trying to gently peel my skin off. But I don't love you anymore. It's okay, she whispered. I will love you. Suddenly, I found myself more attracted to this devious version of her than the one who used to pretend to adore me. I squinted, studying her face for a long while, and couldn't help myself. Aren't you just cheeky? Sure, she said, but you still love me. I don't even want to argue about this, I said, waving her off. That kid you're carrying couldn't possibly be mine. How long do you think you can keep up this act? In the past, I had worshipped Chloe like a goddess, begging for her permission to even hold her hand. There was no way I had touched her before marriage. In my last life, I had waited until after we were wed to even think about being intimate. I laughed confidently as I thought about it. Once the baby is born, a simple DNA test will prove it's not mine. What's your plan then? Chloe suddenly leaned in close, making me instinctively step back. She embraced me, preventing any retreat, and whispered softly in my ear, "Who said the baby will be born?" A sense of dread washed over me. The next moment, Chloe stepped back, smiling as she did. Behind her were the high stone steps that led up to my house. My dad, a superstitious businessman, had wanted them to be tall for good fortune. If she fell from there, the baby wouldn't survive. Realizing her intention, I reached for her, but it was too late. She missed a step and fell backward. The wind lifted the hem of her white dress, and she looked at me with a vicious smile and said, "Alex, accept it. You can't escape me. Even if it kills us both, we'll die together." Her words echoed like a curse in my ears. A dull thud, followed by screams, cut through the night. I rushed down the steps and froze in place. Blood bloomed like plum blossoms on the stone steps, spreading out from under her white dress, stinging my eyes and sending cold sweat down my back. I felt dizzy, disoriented. I remembered how, in a past life, I had hoped for a child with Chloe. I had dreamt of having a daughter with her sparkling eyes, her tiny hands, and her tiny feet. A little Chloe. I would have told my child that among all the things in the world, Dad loves Mom the most, and you second. I had promised Chloe I would make her the second happiest person in the world. The happiest would be me, because I had married the one I loved the most. When Chloe got pregnant then, I was by her side every single day. I learned to be humble and gentle. My hands, which were worthless in any domestic matter, became adept at cooking for her. Each night, I would massage her belly with olive oil, swearing to spare her any unnecessary pain or stretch marks. I cared so deeply for the pain women endure to bring life into the world, all because of my love for her. But the child that Chloe risked her life for wasn't even mine. Right before she was due to give birth, I learned the truth. Leo, a friend I had lost touch with, handed me videos from the hotel cameras. It was my beloved wife with another man. When I confronted Chloe with the videos, she showed no remorse, only arrogance. "The kid's not yours, but I'm still your wife, right? If you love me, shouldn't you love every part of me?" I didn't even have the energy to argue against her crazy logic. Later, when she and Dylan had a fight that caused her to lose the baby, I was still the one by her side at the hospital. But this time I don't love her anymore. Looking at Chloe being wheeled out of the emergency room, my face showed no emotion. When the doctor announced that the baby was gone, I didn't even flinch. My dad raised a hand to hit me, but then dropped it, sighing endlessly. My mom, crying, beat on my shoulder. "Even if you hate her, how could you harm her? That was supposed to be your child. You pushed her. Now how do we explain this to her family? How did we end up raising someone who's such a mess? Someone out for revenge against his own child? Maybe your dad and I owe you something from a past life." Chloe's avaricious father, his eyes red with greed, started making demands. "At least $1 million for the dowry. Not a penny less. Your son killed my grandchild. I could send him to jail right now." My dad's voice sounded weary. "Pick a good day and marry her," he said to me calmly. "Dad, Mom, the kid wasn't mine. I didn't push her. She fell on her own. I refused to marry this vicious woman." On the hospital bed, Chloe turned her pale face away and silently let tears fall. Her voice was just above a whisper. "Uncle, Auntie, don't make it hard for Alex. It's my fault. It's all my fault." I looked at Chloe's frail, shaking back, trying to keep my cool. "Chloe," I said, "I'm giving you one last chance. Tell the truth." Chloe just continued to cry. I laughed. I knew it would go down like this. I grabbed my phone and called Leo. Just 3 words. "Bring him in." A few minutes later, Leo dragged Dylan in by the neck. When he saw me, Dylan immediately dropped to his knees and crawled to my feet, begging and bowing. "Alex," he cried, "I'll tell you everything." Everyone in the room was shocked, not knowing what was happening. Chloe's face showed a faint flicker of surprise and shock. My dad was the first to recognize him. "Isn't this the guy from the fake video?" I kicked Dylan. "Speak!" With tears flowing, Dylan spilled the entire truth. He and Chloe were in on it together. The baby she had been carrying was his. Chloe had never had anything to do with me physically. There were chat logs to prove it. Dylan then played an audio message from his phone. Chloe's mocking voice filled the room. "That spoiled rich kid? He's such a fool. Just holding my hand makes him so happy. He probably dreams of sleeping with me. Just the thought of him touching me makes me want to puke." Everyone's face turned cold. My parents were furious. Chloe threw off the covers, sat up, and screamed at Dylan. "Fake! Uncle, Auntie, I don't even know him. Alex must have set this up to frame me." Dylan was still on the ground, swearing he wasn't lying. "If you don't believe me, check the hotel surveillance. It caught us more than once. The room records are under my ID. You can't fake that." My mom was shaking with anger as she shouted at Chloe. "How could you be so vicious at such a young age? Trying to marry into wealth, willing to kill your own child to do it? It's terrifying." Leo waved his phone in the air. "I've already called the cops. They'll be here soon. Get ready for jail." At this point, Chloe was speechless. I spotted Chloe's dad trying to sneak away along the wall. I grabbed him just in time. The police arrived quickly and took everyone in for questioning, except for Chloe, who had just gotten out of surgery. I was finally able to leave, but not before being left alone with Chloe in the hospital room. She just sat there, her mouth open, in a state of shock, unable to believe how things had gotten to this point. "Why?" she whispered. "Before coming home, I called the help," I explained. "I heard you and your dad were here, so I got in touch with Leo right away." Chloe started to laugh and cry at the same time, staring at me blankly. "I mean, why? Why did Dylan betray me?" Her plan was to marry into my family's money and then funnel more of it to Dylan, but Dylan, who should have been on her side, had turned on her at the last minute. She didn't get it, muttering, "Why? Why did he do this?" "Leo found some hidden camera footage of Dylan with another woman, Zara," I said. A small smile played on my lips. Chloe didn't know about this little detail. In our past life, Chloe had lost her child during a fight with Dylan over Zara. When my family went broke and couldn't pay Chloe anymore, Dylan announced his engagement to Zara. Zara was a mob boss's daughter, which meant a lot more money for Dylan. Chloe then dreamed up the plan to fake my accidental death for the large insurance payout to try and keep Dylan around. William later switched gears. He figured I still had money stashed away somewhere and plotted a fake kidnapping. Who knows what he told Zara to get her to lend him a wanted criminal? But in short, that car crash was no accident. The truck driver who hit me was Zara's hitman, lent to Dylan. After the crash, the driver confessed willingly. Then, Chloe took my insurance money and ran off with Dylan to live the high life. I learned all of this after floating as a ghost above that fancy hotel they haunted. So, in this life, I was curious about when Dylan got involved with Zara. When Leo was checking the hotel for hidden cameras, he found the compromising video of Dylan and Zara. We used that to make Dylan cooperate. It was either confess or have every dirty video sent to Zara's family. Coming from a mob background, Zara wouldn't let a cheating boyfriend slide. She'd probably break Dylan's arm if he was lucky. I skipped the whole past life story, of course, just sticking to the details of this life about Dylan and Zara. Given the choice between you and himself, I concluded, I'd say Dylan knows who to pick. Listening to this, Chloe was in a state of extreme disbelief. "You're lying to me. You guys love me. You're crazy in love with me." I stayed cool and disengaged. "Love you? I did once. Dylan, though, not so sure." Hearing this, Chloe lunged at me, grabbing my hand. "I knew it, Alex. You do love me. You just did all of this to get my attention, right?" Her fingers were icy, reminding me of the moment she reached to unplug my life support in our past life, as I trembled, trying to hit the nurse call button. Her touch was cold and snake-like, venomous. The memory burned. I instinctively pulled back, gently but firmly prying her fingers away. I looked her directly in the eyes with a calm smile. Only humans deserve love. An animal like you doesn't qualify. With those final words, I turned to leave. Leo, waiting by the door, tapped my shoulder and then gave the woman on the bed the finger. I didn't look back. I don't know if she saw Leo's provocation, but I sure as hell heard her crying. It tore through the quiet hallway, a sound that wasn't human at all, like her vocal cords were being physically ripped apart. This time it wasn't an act. Afterward, Chloe came looking for me a bunch of times. She even showed up at my companies, trying to corner me. I refused to see her. I didn't want to hear a single damn word she had to say. Someone in the know told me that after Chloe miscarried, she had a massive hemorrhage and had to have major surgery. She can't get pregnant now. When she came out of the operating room, she seemed to lose it completely. She was out of her mind, grabbing whoever she could and saying she knew she was wrong, saying things like, "I have nothing left." After getting ditched by Dylan again, she started thinking about me. "I regret it so much," she'd ramble. "I even tried to slit my wrists." Then she started talking about things that made no sense to anyone else, saying, "I watched a truck run Alex over. I pulled the plug on his life support, yet I'm here, fine and dandy." "Oh, really?" I responded nonchalantly when I heard the news. I didn't feel even a ripple of emotion inside me. It felt like another lifetime, hearing others talk about my past lives as if it were a strange dream. Many times I had thought it was all in my head, but that moment the plug was pulled, the suffocating, spasmodic pain. It was so damn real. I've decided not to dwell on this crap anymore. I'm tossing it, and all those people, into some forgotten corner of my mind. Years passed. I helped my dad's company through some tough times, and the real estate and other projects I invested in skyrocketed in value. Whatever I touched seemed to turn to gold, and I became the investment trendsetter in our circle. I made a ton of cash, so I rewarded myself with a new BMW. That day, I was driving my new car to fill up with gas when a guy with a noticeable limp and white hair hobbled over. He gave me a grin, and after I finished pumping, he used his sleeve to polish the hood of my car. "Buddy, this car's something else, huh?" His voice was high-pitched, almost girlish. I ignored him, got in, and slowly closed the window, shutting out his annoying face. I drove pretty far, but in the rearview mirror, I could still see him hobbling along, waving. It had been so long, but I recognized him. It was Dylan. He didn't remember me. His leg, Zara had it broken. I finally released the video of him and the other woman. Typical for the daughter of a mobster, Zara also made sure he lost his restless family jewels. Death would have been too easy. 2 swift kicks, and it was over. Now he has to live every day facing his sorry, half-mutilated self down there. Now that's the right punishment for someone like him.